Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Would you get by your cars, please? We're getting ready to begin. Well, if you have a car, stand by it. Everybody ready? Okay. It is my pleasure, on behalf of the Minerva Club, with our 200 members strong, to welcome you to the Minerva Club parking lot. We are so sorry we can't take you into our beautiful 1928 Julia Morgan house. Maybe in 2021. Now, we've been passing out maps for you, and we want you to study it while you have a chance here so that you won't get lost. But if you do get lost, it's okay. Just go up and down some streets and honk your horns, and you'll be noticed. But we hope you'll stay with us on the route, which is on your map, and it's highlighted in yellow. So you can tell, and we only have one street you have to turn left on. They're all right, right, right. And you will see they're major streets in town, and we really are just making a circle of this town through District 1 and District 2 voting areas. We'd like you to follow the lead cars that are decorated in gold. And as you go, would you please honk your horns, use your hazard lights maybe so people can see you. That might help. And just enjoy it. Play some music if you got music in your car. So now what I'd like to do is let you know about the person who's going to lead us through all the speakers. I want to invite Tracy Beard. Tracy is the executive director of the Solvang Chamber of Commerce since 2015. She is the human resources manager for 25 years, specializing in workforce development. Oh, I should have taken my mask off, then you might have been able to hear me. She has served on the California National Commission for Women, and presently she is on the Santa Barbara County Commissions for Women representing the 5th District. And she will be introducing all of our speakers to you tonight. Tracy.
Okay, so just take your mask off. I'm going to switch mics. Go ahead.
Okay.
That's how it is.
Welcome, everyone, tonight. This is our night for women, so we should honor ourselves. Congratulations for being here, everyone. And we have the right to vote on November 3rd. I'm going to introduce our speakers this evening. I'm going to start off tonight with Cynthia Tanker. Cynthia is a native of Santa Maria. Her great-great-grandfather, Alvin Warner Cox, was the first mayor of Santa Maria. A son, Carl, attending medical school in Dublin, Ireland. Her son Cynthia is a newly retired teacher after dancing for 35 years in the Santa Barbara County schools, teaching choreography for Ellen Hancock youth dancers, and she's having fun at this time with dance competitions, but not right at the moment with COVID. I'm going to tell you what an amazing person, so I'm going to bring Cynthia up right at this moment. I believe Cynthia gets to come forward, and she's going to tell us a little story of her heritage. Do you want me to just hold the mic?
Thank you. Yes, I am Cynthia Cox Thacker, the great-great-granddaughter of Harriet Hart. Harriet was the wife of the father of Santa Maria, Reuben Hart. One of Harriet's granddaughters, Elizabeth Scott, found this speech, of which I am going to read excerpts, in an old trunk. I want to thank Cliff and Judy Garrett for unearthing this information about Santa Maria's suffrage movement. Now, Harriet Hart's words. Why is it men so fear the ballot for their wives? Banks, churches, and corporations allow women to vote, so surely in this age of reason, all fair-minded men will grant to woman her right to assist in exploding the shams of society as it is found, as well as to help solve the problem of a better civilization. When a man marries, and as the saying goes, takes a partner for life, ought not that partner be accorded the same privileges as a business partner? Is there an equal division of the profits? No. She cannot buy, sell, or give away without her husband's consent. Not so with him. He can buy or sell or dispose of the last piece of furniture of the house, although the wife may have earned the most of it. If the mother dies and does not own property in her own right as separate property, she cannot give her hard earnings even to her own children. Her husband has the control of it and can will it or dispose of it as he sees fits. He does not have to go through probate court and administer on his own estate like a woman does, but he goes right ahead as if nothing happened and nobody interferes with him. But what a difference we see when the father dies. The woman is not permitted to touch a dollar of his money. The bank is closed until the court has looked into the deceased husband's financial affairs, and men be hired to appraise the property, and you cannot pay or collect any debts until such time as the law allows. The property must be divided and a guardian appointed for the children, etc. Why is this? Does a mother not love her children as well as the father? Is she as interested in the welfare as their father? Well then, why not grant equal rights with her husband so that if she should be left a widow with a family to support, she can go right along without having to hire lawyers and an appraiser and pay court fees until there is nothing left for herself or her family. Equal rights in the political field are demanded, and justly so. And if she owns property, she is taxed the same as a man, and taxation without representation is unjust, as our forefathers said. It is a disgrace to this great nation and glorious country that sensible and well-formed women have not as much privilege as a man who can neither read nor write. I, for one, hope our dear friend and advocate, Susan B. Anthony, may live to see the day when women will be allowed the ballot. What a glorious day it would be for her work of a lifetime and self-sacrifice that she has given to the cause, and feel that her labors have not been in vain. Thank you.
There we go.
Now it's my pleasure to introduce Hilda Zacharias. Hilda is a lifelong Santa Maria resident, attended Allen Hancock College, graduated from Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo. She returned to school to earn a master's degree from Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University in 2006. In 1993, she was the youngest person appointed to the Santa Maria Union Joint High School District Board of Trustees, serving for 5 years. In 2006, she was elected the Santa Maria City Council and served one term. She is now a member of Allen Hancock Board of Trustees, elected in 2012, serving as the board president for 2 years. Ms. Zachariah is a certified public accountant and lifelong volunteer and advocate for social justice. So may we bring her on.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. As we heard from our previous speaker, we talked about the past and the struggles that so many of our sisters and brothers struggled to get the right to vote with the passage of the 19th Amendment in 1920. 100 years ago. Sadly, that only guaranteed the right for a group of women. Women of color had to wait until the 40s, until the 50s, until the 60s. And now, women and other people of color are pushed out of the process by having voting processes that don't include everyone. So every one of us here today knows the importance of voting. I know each and every person here votes. You register, you educate yourself about what's on the ballot, you think about the people you're saying yes to. How lucky we are. So for me, I want to just remind you that today, every single vote counts. Not just ours, but those that we're able to bring with us. I wish that I could say that I would enthusiastically endorse everyone's opportunity to vote. But of course, the person in me that votes a certain way says, oh yeah, well, but I don't want him to vote like this. I don't want him to vote for him, or I don't want him to vote for her, or I don't want him. Well, guess what? We get to decide as individuals. And the important thing is that we remember that each individual has the right to make their decision. Of course, I hope it's a very educated decision. They vote just like me. But that's not democracy. Democracy is people voting for themselves. As a quick example about how every vote counts, when I was on the Santa Maria Joint Union High School District Board of Trustees, which is smudged, and I was appointed, and then in 1994 I had to run. Everyone said, no problem, no problem. But by the end of that day, I'd received over 11,000 votes, but I was only winning by 62. 62 votes. Do you realize that if my family had not voted that day, I probably would not have won? And the city of Santa Maria, we've had city council elections come down to 2 to 4 votes. 2 to 4 votes. And when I was lucky enough to win my city council race in 2006, it was by just over 300 votes. Well, every single one of my campaign folks knew that they had contributed to that success. So I urge you today to make a commitment, not just to vote, but to register folks to vote, to encourage people to vote, to think of yourself as a mini GOTV, get out the vote campaigner, and just remind folks, don't forget to vote. Don't forget to send in your ballot. Send it in time. You need information? There's lots of information out there, but we can still help. So I encourage you all to make it easier for one another, to make it easier for people of color to vote, and to exercise the rights that have been well fought for in our country. Thank you.
Now our next speaker is Yvette Perina. Yvette moved here from the United States in 2006, attended California State University, Fresno. She graduated with a BA in journalism, moved to Santa Maria in 2014 to launch and produce Santa Maria Times Espanol. Yvette has also worked as a creative content creator for Spanish TV and radio stations. In 2018, she started working for Planned Parenthood, California Central Coast as a community health educator. That same year, she was appointed to the 5th District as a commissioner for the Santa Barbara County Commissions. She has served 1 year as the chair. She has been our youngest chair ever in Santa Barbara County for our Women's Commission. She was recently elected as vice chair for 2020-2021. She is an active volunteer with Santa Maria Women's Valley March and founding president for the Toastmasters Valle de Jeja Santa Maria. Yvette is an advocate for social justice and for all women's issues and for the causes of this community. So please welcome Yvette.
There you go.
Esteemed audience, this year there is no better way to pay tribute to the centennial anniversary of the 19th Amendment than by voting. We have to acclaim the work of the woman who started the fight for justice and equality 100 years ago, that together formed community alliances and initiated a social revolution to achieve the establishment of vote for women in this country. We must recognize, though, that despite the passage of the amendment, many black women and women of color were still barred from the polls through intimidation and voter suppression tactics, such as the denial of citizenship based on ancestry or immigrant status, as well, of course, prominent racial discrimination. Since then, there has been a lot of progress. In the last elections of 2016, according to the Center of American Women in Politics, 63.3% of women eligible to vote reported doing so. This year, once again, there is a record-breaking number of women of color who are running for U.S. Congress, at least 267, ensuring a more equitable representation of the diverse population that makes up this country. And now what, you may ask? Well, the fight for women's representation against voting suppression, which is still happening, sadly, and gender equality continues. Let's not forget that after 97 years of trying, the United States has not ratified the Equal Rights Amendment presented to Congress in 1923 by Alice Paul, which guarantees, I quote, "Equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on the account of sex." And even without the constitutional ratification of this amendment, women and people across the gender spectrum have worked tirelessly to elevate their status, to ensure important legal protections, and get fair opportunities in this society. But still, work remains to be done to ensure that women and people across the gender spectrum are treated with equality and justice. These 2020 elections and all future elections we will witness, which I hope are many, let's recognize the immense responsibility we have when voting. Let's do it not only based on our personal interests, but also thinking about the well-being of our communities in general. We can't forget that there are people residing and contributing to this country that live in the shadows and who can't vote. Civic engagement is crucial for social justice, so let's continue to be an example for future generations. Let's continue to transform our families and our communities with passion, marching, advocating, serving in community boards and commissions, and working for social progress. Let's get out the vote. These 2020 elections. And as the popular 2020 census slogan says it, which I've heard it thousands of times, and by the way, if you haven't filled it out, you have until September 30th to do so. Let's shape our future. And now, me gustaría dirigirme con mucho respeto y gusto a la audiencia Latinx que nos acompaña para incitarles que, si son elegibles, por favor voten en estas elecciones de 2020 y en todas las futuras elecciones que nos quedan por vivir, que espero que sean muchas. Debemos reconocer la inmensa responsabilidad cívica que tenemos al votar y no hacerlo solamente basados en nuestros intereses personales, sino también en el bienestar común de nuestra sociedad. Así que recuerden que el compromiso cívico es crucial si es que queremos alcanzar justicia social. Sigamos siendo un ejemplo para las próximas generaciones. Sigamos transformando nuestras comunidades y nuestras familias con pasión, marchando, abogando y sirviendo en comités comunitarios y comisiones, trabajando por el progreso social. Así que vamos a votar a estas elecciones y como lo dice el popular eslogan del Census 2020, que si no han llenado aún, todavía tienen hasta el 30 de septiembre para hacerlo, démosle forma a nuestro futuro.
Now I want to take a moment and I want to welcome Lisa Thornhill. Lisa's going to come up and give us a little surprise up here. So I'd like to invite Lisa to come up and join us. Lisa has a surprise that we're going to give out today. And I don't think anybody knows what that surprise is. So I want you to all gather. And after that surprise, I want you to do a little horn honking once she gives us our surprise. And she's coming out to tell us what it's going to be. And I'm going to tell you, we worked with a great group of women. This is for everyone. But there's people that stand out that do such a great job. So we're going to bring Lisa Thornhill out.
Hello. As was said, I'm Lisa Thornhill. I'm president of the League of Women Voters for the Santa Maria Valley. And I do have the highest honor today in letting everybody know what our surprise is. We are honoring a very special woman in our community. She is someone who is not afraid of working to make our community great. She grew up in Mississippi and attended a segregated high school that until 1970, when it was integrated. Her family that she spent time with encouraged her in civil rights activities, and she grew up listening to Dr. King, Charles Evers, and others. She has been on the board of the Fund for Santa Barbara, the Board for Cause, and is in the current position of president of the NCAA of Lompoc and Santa Maria. Folks might start guessing who this may be. Her work has been in the criminal justice arena in the Santa Barbara County for over 38 years. Through all of the years, she has been diligent in community activist groups, distributing information and encouraging the participation of many community members. My personal interactions have shown me a woman through all of it is compassionate, positive, and extremely intuitive. So I'd like LaWanda Lyons Pruitt to come up. Congratulations, LaWanda. It doesn't go near.
Let me get ready for it.
Thank you. That's good. Wow. Thank you. Oh, that's really nice. That's very touching. Thank you. Well, I must admit, I'm deeply honored and humbled by the recognition. All the work and everything that I do, I don't do it to get the accolades. I do it because I have the passion for the work. And I know in my heart, I know my values, and I know what is right. So I do it because everybody is entitled to vote. Everybody is entitled to go to the same school, to have access to the same books and not hand-me-down books as I did when I was growing up, not to be bused 15 to 20 miles to a black school when there's a perfectly good school right in your hometown. Everyone has those rights. And I learned that at an early age. And because I learned that at an early age, I just have that passion for what I do. I want to acknowledge each of you, all the trailblazing women here today, and even those that couldn't be here today. I want to acknowledge you and the work that you do. We have a better community because we all work together to collaborate as a coalition, as organizations coming together. No man, no woman is an island. And we can only do what we do if we do it collectively, together. I appreciate Yvette and Hilda and you guys touching on a subject that is painful to some people. It's not painful to me because it's history. And we have to understand that's history. When people of color women in particular who were there, and they helped to get the 19th Amendment passed. But then, in the very end, they were excluded. And I can imagine, I was thinking about that. I'm going to have to do some research and see what I can find out. I know that they must have been deeply hurt by that snub, because when I look at some of the women that were fighting in the movement, particularly in the late 1800s and then the early part of the 1900s, these women, they were college educated. And back then, people of color, particularly women, you couldn't go to school. So that they were able to do that is just amazing. When I wrote my June column for the Santa Maria Times, I wrote it because in order to move forward, you need to acknowledge your past. You don't need to harp on it, but you need to acknowledge your past. And I'm hoping that the National League of Women Voters, that they'll say, you know, it's not their fault. 100 years ago, they weren't born. So what can they do about it? But you can acknowledge it. And so they need to acknowledge it, say, I'm sorry, and then we can move on. Sincerely say, I'm sorry, and then we can move on. I mean, I've moved on, but I thought it was important that I acknowledge that. Women, trailblazing women, and all people have been with us, been with NAACP, people of color from the very beginning. Take for instance, 25-year-old John Lewis. When he and 600 other activists down in Alabama tried to cross that Edmund Pettus Bridge, and the police were waiting on the other side with billy clubs and dogs and fire hydrants and tear gas. But your parents, my parents, they were outraged by what they saw. And Benjamin Franklin said it best. And I need to look at it, okay? Benjamin Franklin said, justice will not be served until those who are unaffected are as outraged as those who are. And that is what happened. That's happening now. We saw with George Floyd. We're seeing with what is happening in Wisconsin is that people are outraged. They're outraged, and they stand with us, and that makes a difference. Now, I do want to talk just briefly about one of my favorite suffrage, and that is Clara Shortridge Foltz. Now, Clara was white, but she was awesome. She, at the age of 81, she ran as the first female governor of California at the age of 81. You need to check out her story. Not only that, but she is known, because I'm involved with criminal justice, retired from it, but still involved. Clara is known as the mother of the public defender movement, and we have public defender offices because of her work. And so I'd like to acknowledge her, and then I would just like to close with Sojourner Truth. Sojourner Truth said, "Ain't I a woman?" And when I say, "Ain't I a woman?" I want you to say, "Ain't I a woman?" So she said, "I've plowed and planted and gathered into barns, and no man could head me. And ain't I a woman? I could work as much and eat as much as a man when I could get it, and bear the lash as well. And ain't I a woman? I've borne 13 children and seen them most all sold off to slavery. And when I cried out with my mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me. And ain't I a woman?" All right, thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate the honor. Thank you.
Congratulations. Today is all about Santa Maria Valley in our county in Santa Barbara on the right to vote. We celebrate the 100th anniversary today. Our job is to vote on November 3rd. If we mail out, make sure we get it out by October 20th. We want our votes to count by mail. We owe it to our future, for our children, for our future children, and we owe it to all of our grandparents, great-grandparents, the women in our lives that helped march for the right to vote for us 100 years ago and before that. So just get out and vote today. That's what it's all about. Thank you. I want you all to take your maps, take a moment, look at your maps, make sure you know the little tricky spots that we're going through. We have 3 lead cars. They're going to take you through today. Western, Donovan, and Miller, honk your horns through the neighborhoods, get excitement. When we get back over here, there'll be a food truck right over here today. So I ask you all, just get out there and honk your horns and tell everyone to vote.